I'm Pat Gregory and I'm standing for re-election to Environment Waikato as a member of the Rates Control team. I'm very happy to respond to this question because one of the reasons I stood for council 3 years ago was because I'd been helping people who were struggling to get out of debt. And it was sometimes, in fact often, because of addiction. They deeply concerned me and I wanted to advocate for them and do something about it. And the Rates Control team was the perfect vehicle to do that. You probably heard it said tonight, of course, about Hamilton City Council recently reviewing their bylaws on pokies. Well, I made a submission, a strong submission to that bylaw at the hearings, and I asked them to reduce the number of pokies and to not replace licences as they came up for renewal. And I'm really thrilled that Hamilton City Council put a sinking lid on pokies. I also wrote a very strong letter to Valentine's because you may remember that they were going to put pokies in their restaurant. Next day, the manager of Valentine's rang me and said, look, we've decided not to go ahead. Now, I was going to be part of a protest that was going to be outside that restaurant the next day. So I was thrilled to be able to ring up the organiser and say, hey, call it off. We don't need to do it, we've won. So that was great. As many of you will know, addictions go hand in hand with poverty. I remember I helped one family where the husband had an addiction for brothels, and the heartache that caused was immense because it meant there was little left for anything else. I'm a supporter of a group called Christians Against Poverty. They do a great work helping people climb out of the abyss of poverty. Recently they did a seven-day challenge throughout New Zealand asking people to live on $56 a week. It really was an eye-opener for those people. I remember helping a family once who had had their power cut off 3 times in a row. By the time they'd paid the reconnection fee and the power bill, there was no money left for food. They had a child who had severe asthma, and the hospital had loaned them a nebulizer, but it needed electricity. And I was so angry with the power company that I went and demanded to speak to the CEO. And I explained to him that people who can't afford to pay their power bill can hardly afford to pay a reconnection fee. It's just like kicking a man when he's down. Also, I said to him that if anything happened to that child and he needed nebulizing when there was no power, that I would personally sue him, and I would have too. Anyway, that night when I got home, there was a knock on the door and there was the CEO, and he handed me a cheque for the reconnection fees and the power bills. And I was able to give that to that family and help get on their feet. So you see, we can make a difference. Just because I took the trouble to go and talk to somebody and showed him the human side of the story, something happened. So, okay.